Welcome back to Brick and Brand, a podcast at the intersection of retail and entrepreneurship. We're your co-hosts, Delaney and Bretley Roach.
I remember my very first solo tour for my first solo client, meaning this was a client that I got on my own. I was a couple months in.
It's a big deal.
Maybe I wasn't fully qualified, but I was like, you show up and you act like you are.
Yes.
And so it was my very first tour with him, and I had confirmed I was feeling good. Like, okay, I can do this. It's 8 a.m. I drive 40 minutes out to the boonies of East San Diego to meet him. And he's there early. Shocker. I'm already like, okay, yeah, here we go.
You're already like a little flustered because you're running behind now.
Yes. When in my head, I thought I got there early, but my client's there before me. So I'm already like, okay, this is not a good start. And of course, the space is locked. We can't get into it.
It's happened to me so many times.
So many times. And I literally am in heels. I start sprinting around the shopping center. I go into Dollar Tree. I go into Yogurtland. I go into Better Buzz. I go into all these different shop spaces. And I'm like begging the manager, please, like, do you have the number for security? Do you have extra keys? Is there any way I can get in that space? Nobody. They're all telling me, oh, I think this little like dry cleaner on the corner might have the keys. So I go over to the dry cleaner. I'm like, can you please help me? They don't speak a lick of English. So mind you, it's like 8:20 in the morning, right? People are like, what is this woman doing? Lurching into my store. I'm banging on their doors before it's even open, like literally. And they can't
call the police.
Yes. And they can't understand me. So I pull out Google Translate and I'm speaking into Google Translator and then handing it to them. Spent 20 minutes doing that to find out they don't have a key. They have no way to help me. So I essentially end up having to just apologize to my client, reschedule, the whole 9 yards. And I literally went across the street, went into Better Buzz, and locked myself in the bathroom and cried my eyes out.
My gosh.
My very first tour of my very first client. And I maybe hadn't done anything like technically wrong, right? I got stood up. Okay, whatever, it happens. But it's just, you're like livid, right? You're just
horrible.
Horrified.
Especially when you're starting. And it doesn't matter. Even at my stage, I still get paranoid about going to space when I'm relying on another broker because they don't show up all the time. And honestly, your story reminds me not too long ago, I was touring one of my restaurant clients to the second-gen restaurant space. And they decided to bring the CEO, the owner of the company, like all the most important people at this company were coming. It was a very big deal. It was also about 115 degrees out. It was in the middle of summer. So it was very hot. We were all immediately sweating. We get there, same thing. I'm like, okay, where's the broker? Getting a little nervous, trying to make small talk so everyone feels like everything's fine.
Right.
But my heart's racing.
Inside, you're like, oh no.
Yes. Yeah. I'm like, what could I do? So he does show up. He's 10 or 15 minutes late, but I'm like, okay, we can recover from this. No big deal. Well, his keys don't work to the front of the space. So he says, oh, they should work. I guess the locks must have been changed. I'm going, I'm not going to say any names, but I'm like, John Doe, this is kind of like important, and we start going all around the building, looking, trying to open windows. My clients are starting to get a little hot, a little anxious. I'm dripping sweat in my dress and heels. I was trying to look very nice that day. I'm like wiping sweat off. Well, long story short, there's no way to get in the space. And so the only way to get in, and we don't know if this will work, is to climb the back wall, which is probably 12, 13 feet tall, brick wall, and go into the back patio to see if the patio door may be open. I can't. Would have climbed it, but I couldn't in my dress and my heels. So the other broker happened to be a male. I helped him get up and over the wall, and he fell and he landed like face first on the concrete. But he's like, I'm fine. We're going to figure this out. He opens the space and like, praise God, it opened and we went in. I was covered in mud and dirt and sweating, but we toured the space. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that was a Monday morning. I had shown up like all fresh and crisp and ready for my tour. And everything just goes to hell. So
And then
It
after, you're
happens.
supposed to go back to the office and be
Yes.
presentable for your next 4 or 5 meetings for other clients
Yes.
that don't care, don't give a shit about what happened to you that morning.
Who cares? Yeah.
And you just got to adapt and adjust real quick. Okay, I'm
It's
fine. You know, you're
insane.
dusting yourself off. It's
I know.
crazy.
And I
I
feel
can't
like,
believe you threw him over the back. That's
I
impressive.
had to help him. He couldn't get over, and no one was offering to help. My clients were staying by the front door waiting for us
Of
to figure it
course.
out.
Of course.
And I
Why would
feel
they
like
help you?
another piece of it is just like being not in the best areas when you're doing this. I had one of my very first tours. I think I was about a year in the business. I had a very difficult listing where all the restaurant space was in the back and there was there's no visibility, very difficult listing. And, we were desperately trying to get some restaurants in the two spaces in the back. I had made a cold call to this gentleman, Mr. Zhen, who had a breakfast place and he was interested. So we'd been working in LOI for a little while and, things were going well. He was very interested. I was just desperate to get the deal done because I had no money at the time. I was just starting out. This would have been like my first deal where I called,
Right.
facilitated the whole thing. And I came down with COVID, which is not a big deal. I just had a really high fever and a really bad cough. I
Just
wasn't feeling well.
casually, not a big deal.
Yeah, I wasn't worried about it. It was a Saturday afternoon, so I was thinking like, I'm not gonna have to go to work. I'll recover and I'll be fine. I was laying on my couch resting and I get a call from Mr. Zhen. And he goes, Miss Bretley, I need to get in the space this afternoon with my contractors. We have to take our measurements. And there's no security. I said, can you wait till Monday when there's security? Because I have COVID right now. I'm really sick. He did not even hear me say COVID or he didn't care. He goes, oh no, how will I complete my measurements on time? I have to get into the space today. He did not even hear me say that I was sick. So I realized,
What?
okay, I have to get this deal done. Like I have bills to pay. So I said, okay, I'm going to be there just as like a reminder I have COVID. And he was like, see you in 10. Didn't even acknowledge it. And so
What?
it's the middle of the summer. I'm drenched in sweat. I'm wearing a mask out of respect. And I go into the
You should
space.
have,
I'm
like,
just,
coughed right in his face and just been like, "Screw
he
you."
didn't care because he saw me. I opened the space for him and I sat on the concrete floor, like shivering and sweating because I was like so sick. And he's just taking his time. He's measuring everything. It's like, oh, it's beautiful space. Like, I'm so happy to this project, on and on. And he's like, oh, are you okay? And I was like, oh, don't worry. I'm just like really sick. And he's like, oh, okay. And he just like keeps measuring. And finally
Who
he
is this
leaves
man?
and I go
What?
home. And he ultimately ended up opening, like, had a beautiful restaurant. But I always think back on that because I had just started and I was like, okay, is this normal? People don't, you're not even like human to them. You're just like
Right.
someone to facilitate them
You're
getting
just a
open.
tool.
But that's what you do. Like, you have to get the deal done. So it was insane.
I can picture you literally with COVID, like, bundling up in the middle of summer. "Let me just get this done."
Get through this. Yeah.
Oh, you're insane. Anything
I
for the
know.
deal. Anything to get it done.
Probably the craziest thing that's ever happened to me yet in real estate. Me and my business partner, we are working on this account called The Pickler, which Delaney also works on. It's a big pickleball international brand now. But anyway, at the time, we had a group in San Antonio who was looking to open 3 or 4 clubs. And we'd put together a tour and we were going to fly down and meet them and rent a car and tour the market and fly back in the same day. And this is something we ended up doing 2 or 3 times throughout the process. But this was the first time, I believe, and there was 5 of them that were meeting us. I think it was like 8:30 or 9 in San Antonio. So we were taking the first flight out, 6 AM out of DFW. So I get up at 3 AM. I'm ready to go. I'm at the airport an hour and a half before the flight. There's kind of a lot of people in the security lines, but I'm like, "Oh, I'm here so early, no big deal." Time starts to tick by, and I think I realized about 30 minutes in, oh my gosh, like, we're not moving, and I now have, like, they're boarding in 20 minutes. I started to kind
No.
of, and my partner, Blake, was a little bit in front of me in the line, so he makes it through security. I'm inching along, and he sends me a text like, "We're boarding. You have, I think he said like 5 minutes to be here before they're closing the doors.
No.
Delaney, I cannot even tell you. I broke
No.
out in a cold sweat.
I'm sweating right now just thinking about it.
I have
Oh my
never been
God.
so panicked because this was a very big deal, very big client tour. And to
Yeah.
make Blake do it without me, I was just been mortified. So I do what I've never done before. I completely lose any sense of pride that I have, and I start begging people, please let me go in front of you, please. I'm like almost in tears. I'm going back and forth between crying and begging, and I'm shaking at this point. And Blake is texting me, you have 2 minutes, you have 1 minute. And
Oh my God, the
yeah,
stress.
it was
What?
the worst thing. Don't wish that on my worst enemy. Anyway, I beg. At some point, I'm like, okay, I'm sure the doors have been closed. Like, that's it. Because I finally make it through. As soon as I get through the security, I grab all of my stuff, including my shoes, and I sprint, dead on sprint through the airport. I'm in socks because I was wearing sneakers. And I remember thinking, I'm going to slip and like eat it because I'm running this fast. I round the bend and holding all my laptop, everything. And Blake is out front by um, the hostess, basically begging her to like keep the doors
Wait,
open for
yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would have shut them for sure like 10 minutes
Love
ago.
Blake. What
So
a homie. Good for him.
good partner. And I
Yes.
get into the plane and I'm shaking and I just like fall into the seat and I'm like, I don't care how the tour goes. I don't care the rest of the day. Like, I'm here and I'm just trying to like bring down my adrenaline. And
God.
every time we've flown to meet clients since, I'm there like 3 hours early. And I don't care what anyone says. Like, I'll never want to go through that again.
Never put myself in that position again.
No,
Oh my God.
it's
I just broke out
horrible.
in hives, like hearing that story.
I
I'm
know.
stressed out for you.
It's
Uh,
awful, and it was my first time meeting a client out of state, so I was like, "I've never missed a flight in my life, and I'm gonna
yeah.
miss my flight
Yeah.
today of all days." So,
Yeah.
even those types of things can happen.
You've never missed a flight since?
I've never missed one,
Okay, I've
ever.
never missed a flight either, knock on wood. That
No.
really scares me. But I think we learned that from dad. He was very much a believer in getting to the airport hours and hours early.
Yes, 2 hours
And
early.
at a minimum, like you do not
Mhm.
rush. And now San Diego, because it's such a smaller airport than LAX, I'm always like, "Oh, I'm fine, I get through security in 15 minutes."
Mhm.
I feel like I own the place. I'm like, I've flown in and out of there a million times. In my head, it's like so manageable and easy. And recently we were going to, I can't remember, I think it was a family vacation, but I was going with Salvin. We had tickets on the same flight. And he was like, "Oh, what time are you getting to the airport?" And go, I don't know, maybe like 30 minutes before we board or something. And he about blew a gasket. He was like, "What? You're going to miss your flight. You need to be
Yeah,
there at a
yeah.
minimum 2 hours early." And so that's when I realized, like, okay, this is a sickness that we all have that from the
Yeah,
parent. Maybe not a sickness, but we learned that from the
getting
parents
there
that
early.
you get there early. Yes.
I know, but honestly, it's worth it because I realize, like, the stress of missing
Right.
your flight is so much worse than, like, hanging out in the airport for an extra 30 minutes.
It's not worth it. Not worth it at all.
And last week, we went to a company retreat that we have once every 2 or 3 years, and we went out to the lake house of one of the principals, and we were all out there, and, so many crazy things happened, but they made us go for the company event where we went skeet shooting, and I don't know for the listener, I mean, in Texas, I guess that's very normal, but I'm still a California girl at heart.
No, that's absurd. That's crazy.
And I've never shot a gun that big in my life. I was terrified, but I'm trying to remain strong because I'm around my team. So
Right.
I get this gun. I can barely hold it. It's so heavy. And they got me like the smallest one.
Of course.
And, I'm trying to shoot these skeet. It hurts so bad. The kick was insane, but
Oh, yeah, it, like, jerks your
it,
shoulder,
oh
right?
my gosh, it's so
Yeah.
painful. And I'm just trying not to say how much pain I am because,
Right.
I don't want them to think less of me. And we leave that and we go on the boat out in the lake, and we're halfway through cruising around the lake, and the engine goes out on the boat with the whole company. And we're like, oh,
No.
shoot.
No. Wait, I didn't
So,
hear anything about this. You have what happened?
yeah.
What'd you guys do?
Well, basically, it was so funny to see the reactions because half of the team was laughing, thought it was funny, and half of the team was like freaking out. And they started jumping on the side of the boat, yelling at the people on the shore, basically to come and tow us to shore. And we were handing out life jackets, and we were like, we can't have the whole Segovia team go down in the lake. Like, our clients
Wait,
need
are you
us.
sinking or are
No,
you
we
just
weren't
the
sinking,
okay.
but we weren't really sure either.
What was gonna happen? Okay, got it.
Yeah. So this couple that lived on the lake, they like saw us waving to them and they came out in like a little dinghy thing
Nice. Okay, nice.
and hauled us to shore. And I'm just like, what is this? Like, why is there always so many crazy things happening at this company retreat? But it never fails.
It never fails. Was this an overnight thing or just a one day? Like, how far
It
away is
was
the
an
lake?
overnight. It's about an
Okay.
hour away. We did like a day
Okay.
and a half. And then in the next morning, we did a Shark Tank audition, basically, where we teamed up with people and did like Shark Tank. And we were grilled about
What?
like our businesses and we had to mentor the younger people. So
Wait, that's
it was
brilliant.
it was actually really fun and really hilarious. One of the young guys who we just hired, he is right out of college, and we told everybody the Shark Tank is starting at 10 a.m. So we were all up by like 8:30
Right.
preparing for it.
Right.
Well, 9:50 comes around, he's still sleeping. And so we sent someone to wake him up, and he comes running down the stairs, like out of bed, and he goes, I thought I had till 10. Don't I have 10 more minutes? And we're like,
No.
this isn't college, buddy. Like, you gotta
No.
prepare. So
You
it was
can't
so
just roll
funny.
out of bed and run down the stairs. Like,
No, I
oh my god.
know. So I'll never forget the look on his
Did you guys
face.
give him a hard time? Were you like, dude, you're gonna lose this whole competition? Like,
Yeah. We were
throw him
like, I
under the
guess you don't
bus?
wanna work here anymore.
Yeah,
No big
threaten to
deal.
fire him. Exactly.
Poor guy.
Exactly. I
Wait,
can
but I
see
wanna
your
hear
whole
yours.
team just like egging it on. Like, you're
Yeah.
lucky to even be here.
You have to give the young guys a hard time.
Yeah, exactly. Our company meetings are not, we've never done an overnight trip. We've never like traveled somewhere like as a team, at least in the time that I've been there.
Right.
It's more like dinners or lunches, or we'll do things when we travel for ICSC, the real estate
Mhm.
convention. We'll have something there. But I feel like that's a really unique and kind of bonding experience.
For
An
sure.
overnight trip, you're all going to the same place together. It's very informal out of the office. I am blind as a bat and I wear glasses most days. I started out when I started working in real estate, I was wearing my contacts because that was just the normal to me. I didn't like having glasses on my face. I felt like
Mhm.
they were always falling off or I couldn't see because of the frames. So I was really used to wearing contacts. And then when I started staring at a screen 8 to 10 hours a day, I realized this is not good for my eyes. I'm going
Yeah.
cross-eyed. I was getting headaches. And something people don't think about, if anyone out there has contacts and has an office desk job, you'll understand what I'm about to say. When you're staring at a screen, just naturally, you don't blink as much. You're
Mm.
not moving, the light isn't fluctuating. If you're just staring at a screen reading or typing, you're naturally not blinking as much. Well, contacts dry out. And if you have
Oh.
contacts, the most painful thing is when your contacts get dry because you're not blinking enough. You're like, oh my gosh, I can't.
Yeah.
And so I can't remember for whatever reason, I decided this day to wear my contacts to work instead of my glasses. And I had a meeting and I sit down in the conference room. There's like 3 or 4 other people from my office in there. It's pretty formal.
Oh, yeah.
Um, and I'm in the middle of this meeting and I'm staring at our client on the screen. And of course, my contact decides that now is the time to malfunction and dry up and, stick to my eyelid and start
Oh my
sliding back in my eye. So I'm
no.
like, I mean, literally, like, I can't describe it to someone who doesn't have contacts or has never worn them, other than just like, it feels like there's a rock in your eye.
Oh.
You're like, get it out now, right? And so I'm like, don't touch your eye, like focus on the
Mhm.
screen, don't get distracted. No, I'm in like 8 out of 10 pain. I can't see out of my right eye, which is therefore causing my left eye to water. So it's a whole catastrophe. So I'm finally, towards the end of the meeting, I'm like, I can't do this. I'm going to lose it.
Yeah.
My nose is running. My eyes are watering. I look like I'm crying in the background. And so I casually kind of pretend to sneeze. And I turned slightly away from the camera, and I'm just like, please, God, let my hands be not that dirty. You don't touch your eyes unless you have just washed your hands and
Yeah.
not touched anything. And so in my head, I'm like, okay, I went to the bathroom before this. How many door handles have I touched since then? But at this point, all my care is
doesn't
like
matter.
out the window. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Get the shit out of my eye. So I kind of fake sneeze and turn away, and I just quickly reach in
You
my
just
eye
pulled it out?
and rip my contact out. And
Oh
I'm like under
God.
the desk, I'm like flicking it onto the floor. Just get up. It's just like,
That's so sanitary. I love
dude,
that for you.
insane. Don't worry, I circled back and picked it up after the meeting off the floor. And honestly, it wasn't much better because I couldn't see. I mean, I wasn't in pain anymore, but I couldn't see. I had one contact in and one out. So the rest of the day,
Did the
I couldn't
landlord
see.
notice? Did
Never
he
made
say
a comment
anything?
about it.
Yeah.
There's no way he didn't see, but
Yeah.
he never made a comment about it. I don't know if he was just feeling nice or was like, what is wrong with this woman? I don't
Yeah.
know. She's having a seizure in the background, but it was just one of those
Oh my
moments where you're
gosh.
like, I got to do what I got to do, you know?
Yeah. I
Anyways.
remember, the malfunctions, the wardrobe malfunctions, or including glasses. I remember having one of my heels snap off, just break off. So, in the middle of a tour. So I was walking. Well, what happened is it was one of my first tours too. And I was really prepared, but it was this
Right.
really old, like building that was kind of like a house all made of wood.
Okay.
And it was really old, like kind of falling apart. But we went inside. And I went in first and I was turning around to face the client to say, let me tell you everything about this property that I'd memorized.
No.
And I was so ready. My foot crashes through the boards because
No.
they're so old up to like my knee. I just go down and then everyone's like, oh, are you okay? And I'm like, oh, for trying to pretend it didn't happen. I'm like, oh, I'm fine. What do you mean? I'm fine. And I like pull my foot out and my heel's just broken off. And I'm trying to keep like just some dignity at this point because again, it's like I'm trying to make a good impression. So I'm like
Are you
walking
hobbling?
through the thing. Like no one can take me seriously at this point. But I'm like, oh, the parking is great. And look at the access. And you're so close to all the corporate businesses. And they're just like, this
What is
girl, who
wrong with
is
her?
she?
I
So
can
it's a
picture
real
you.
thing.
Like, were you on your toes on one foot and then fully like standing on the
Yeah.
other foot and just hobbling? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a good
Yep.
thing I have strong calves because
We've all been there.
But
We've
I
all
mean, they knew there was no way to hide it. So it's just like you have to just eat
That is
crow and
That is insane.
they didn't
Just
fire me.
adapt. Keep going.
Yeah.
Just keep pushing forward.
I
Any other
mean-
normal person would have been like, okay, this is a problem. Let me go see if I have a change of shoes in my car. I'm going to wait outside. My partner is going to finish the tour, whatever. But of course,
No.
we would never do that. Like, we would never even
No.
consider that. We're just like, nope, keep going. I'm totally fine. Nobody look
Yeah.
at me. Yeah.
Yeah, and that you bring up a great thing, a point like having the change of shoes. What are some things that you've learned, like some fast tips, facts of like tips and tricks basically of how to survive our insane business where you never know we never know what's going to happen in a day. Like you may think
No.
I'm going to be in the office all day and then get a call that you have to go present to an important client. So you kind of always like for me
Have to
having
be
a pair of
prepared.
heels and sneakers and my makeup in my car, like in a separate bag for big meetings that may come up. I always have that with me. What are some other like tips and tricks to just like, do you eat during the day? How do you get food when you're so busy? Like we never eat lunch at our office.
No, such a good question. I feel like it's kind of just a learning curve where you go without one time and then you're like, okay, now I know. I need to always have
Yes.
sneakers, backup sneakers, or an extra pair of heels in my car. So it's really kind of trial and error. And I don't know, that's at least how it's been for me. The food thing is so important though, because you really do start to like deteriorate throughout the day if you're not eating and drinking water. In fact, I set 2 or 3 alarms for myself throughout the day that literally go off and say drink water.
Yeah.
Which is so pitiful, but I will forget or I will, I'll get to the end of the day and realize, oh my God, my water bottle is full. I've
Which
taken
is
3
horrible.
sips today.
Yeah.
It's horrible. And so bringing snacks like food, bars, fruit that you can kind of just like munch
Eat
on
quickly.
while you're working and eat quickly. Things that don't get stuck in your teeth.
Yes.
That's a huge one for me, or throwing in some floss or
Yes, toothbrush.
toothpicks, toothbrush, gum. Like, so
Mhm.
important because you'll eat and then you'll have a meeting right after and it's gross.
Yeah.
I used to pack like full lunches every day, and then I realized I wasn't really eating that much. And I think everyone's different on what their appetite is throughout the day. But I'm one of those, when I'm stressed, I'm not hungry. Um, I'll lose my appetite if I have anxiety or
Right.
stress, which is like 90%
Right.
of the time. So having like bars and little crackers or like is
Because
super
not
helpful for
eating,
me.
like you said, can really mess you up. I've done that too, where I'm
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I don't have food, I'm just not gonna eat," and then I totally go down the hill, and I can't even, like, barely speak to a client. But another one for me that's been really helpful is, like, making sure I have extra caffeine at the office. Like, I have my coffee in the
Mhm.
morning, but I can't go out and get coffee, so I always have, like, some energy drinks because, like you've said before, we're doing 12, 14-hour workdays and, 6 to 8 hours in, you're like, "Okay, I'm feeling it." Like, I'm exhausted, but I can't quit. I have however many hours left, and so having that's super important. Also, just, like, my brain has so many things going on in it all the time that I have a notes on my phone
Mm.
where if I'm driving or whatever I'm doing, something will pop into my brain like, I never emailed this person back, or I never called them and I said I was going to, or I have to do this LOI. And I just have to write it into my notes because if I just leave it in my brain, I'll either forget or I just get so overwhelmed and stressed out. So having like a running to-do list all the time.
Totally. I'm more of a reminders person. I'll constantly be like, remind me in 1 hour to do this
Mhm.
or do that. But do you have a checklist that you're just checking off and adding?
I do the reminders too. I'll add it to my calendar. I'll do
Okay.
notes. And that's part of the problem is I have it in all these different places. So I'm always like, wait,
27
wait,
places.
where did I save that? I knew I had something to do, but I can't find my notes. So
Yeah.
it's the organization is super important. So that's a wrap.
Okay. Have a great week. We will talk to you soon.
All right. Bye.